Before we get started in today's video, I want to let you guys know we have some new throtl jet tags that are available on the throtl merch shop. If you're interested in either of these, the link will be in the description.
What's up, everybody? I'm now got my apron on, ready to tackle the gas tank. I think you guys have all been waiting for me to do this. In order to get this car started, I've got to fix this gas tank. So, as I mentioned in a previous video, I purchased POR-15's tank restoration kit. And I'm gonna go ahead and show that to you now. I showed it in a previous video, but it's basically a 3-part system. So you've got a cleaner degreaser, 2 bottles of that, a metal prep bottle, and the fuel tank sealer. I've already went ahead and opened this and also read the directions on how to do it. Seems pretty straightforward. It does take a lot of time, so I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with this tonight, but I am going to go ahead and get started. And I did already clean the gas tank out. It calls for you to get the tank out of the car, get it all cleaned out with hot water or water, and once it's dry, you have to seal all the holes, because what we're going to have to do is actually put the solutions in, move the tank around, and let it sit in areas for 20 minutes at a time. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy process. I'll probably do quite a bit of sped up footage for you guys, but this is going to take a few hours to do, and it's going to have to sit overnight before the tank can actually go back in the car. Man, I'm seeing all the rust in here from the sunlight. It's brutal. Hard to see, but the whole inside of this tank is just rust. So what this is going to do is going to actually descale the rust, seal it, and then you put the glass layer in, which actually hardens the rust and makes it so that you don't get all the flaky stuff in your gas, which will clog up your fuel filter as well as your gas lines or fuel lines. So hopefully this kit will take care of the problem. It's a lot cheaper, 90 bucks as opposed to $400 or $500 for a new tank. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get cracking. Got my eye protection. They're not cool. Eye protection's never cool, but I value my eyes. I've got way too many things in my eyes over the course of the last few years, so went ahead and grabbed a pair of Calvin's old shitty goggles, and yeah, I'm good. Directions call for gloves and glasses. It is not a caustic material apparently, but just to be safe, they want you wearing the safety protection. So I'm gonna do that, and I don't want you boys and girls yelling at me, because every time I don't wear a respirator or glasses or gloves or some safety device, you guys yell at me, and it's getting kind of old. So anyway, the gas tank is now prepared for the POR-15, and they asked for all the holes to be plugged with duct tape. So I've removed the filler neck, the overflow, and the evap crap from the tank. I've also removed the petcock from the bottom, the drain plug, and now it's time to get busy with the chemicals. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that process. I believe we're gonna be using the cleaner first, so we'll go ahead and grab that. Calls for us to mix this 1 quart of cleaner degreaser with 1 quart of warm water, not hot water, but warm water, because the hot water will melt the adhesive on the tape that we use to fill up the holes on the tank. So we go ahead and mix this in a bucket, and then we'll go ahead and pour it into the tank, and we're supposed to let it basically rest in the tank for 20 minutes, covering each surface for 20 minutes duration. So we'll go ahead and make this mixture and get it in the tank. Please don't leak, please don't leak, please don't leak. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and let this sit for 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna have to tip it up on each end and let it clean the whole area inside for 20 minutes each, covering every surface. So. All right, so now that the solution is in the tank, it's going through its cleaning process on the first 20-minute cycle. I've gone ahead and sealed up the main fuel pump hole as well. That way we can go ahead and turn this tank on its top side and make sure that we're doing a good job of getting all of the any grease, dirt, fuel, anything that could be left inside the tank after it's been hosed out and the cleaner has sat in there. So the next rotation, I think I'm gonna put it up on one end and let it sit in the corner, and I'll go to the other end and I'm gonna lay it on its top. So it should be 4 cycles. Man, that's an hour and 20 minutes. So just to be honest with you guys, this is a time-consuming process. If you have the time to do it, I don't know what the actual results are gonna be yet, but to save money, this is the way to go. Hopefully the kit is actually very comprehensive and actually works. I've gotten a lot of people reach out to me saying that it is a great tool and it is a good alternative to replacing the tank. So hopefully I have the type of luck that everyone else I've spoken to has, and we saved this tank. No leaks yet. All right, well, as you can see, guys, the sun has gone down. This has been a pretty long process because we gotta let it sit for 20 minutes on every side, like I told you. I went ahead and finished up the first cleaner degreaser step. I did bring the tank out and basically hosed it down, cleaner degreased it again. Went ahead and shot the inside of the tank, got as much of the you know, rust particulate and all that stuff out of there as I can. I'm gonna probably rinse it a couple more times just for good measure, because that's just what I do. I'm gonna go ahead and just clean this out as best I can, get the etcher in it, get that out, clean it out again, let it sit overnight. It's probably gonna flash rust overnight, which is fine. I did some reading on that. The sealer will actually seal any surface rust that is still in there once you're done with all your cleaning process. So rest assured, as long as the sealer sticks, this will be a good fix. What I'm noticing inside this gas tank is that, I'll try to show you a little bit here, but if you can see, it's hard to tell, but this line right here is where the fuel was when this car was parked, and everything above that line has got rust and raw surface rust. Basically the whole top 2/3 of the tank is rusty, even up underneath the lid. So I've got to somehow reach in there and get all that rust out. This process is, you know, the POR-15 process is actually pretty good, so I'm hoping that it will take care of all the prep and that I don't have to go super ham with trying to get the extra slag of rust off of the tank. I'm hoping it just seals it, which is what it says it does. So we're gonna move on to step 2 now. It's been a couple hours and I've got the tank wiped out, so it's time to go on to the second step. All right, so gonna go ahead and toss the metal prep in. Went ahead and wiped it out as best I can. I did decide to, since this thing is destroyed, I actually just cut off the carrier for the fuel pump, and went ahead and basically just going to use it as a block off plate, because the solution that I did before this was leaking from that big old hole. So gonna go ahead and just bolt this back in to seal that hole off so we don't get any leaking issues, because the top of the tank is the worst. So if I can get that sealed, I can lay this thing on its back and I don't have to worry about it leaking everywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this in the tank. I went ahead and moved the tank around into a bunch of different configurations, and we sloshed the chemical around inside. It's now time to rinse it out. It is getting late, so we're gonna go ahead and rinse it out and get as much water out of the tank as possible. And then in the morning, I'm gonna come in and actually get a put some shop air through the tank to get it dried up, because no tank will dry all by itself as fast as I need it to. So we'll let it sit overnight, blow some air through it, get it dried up, and then we'll do stage 3 tomorrow. The tank is in its final resting place for the evening. I've got the drain plug pulled. Got a little trash can under here to catch any of the residual water that falls out. The tank looks pretty clean inside. There's still some signs of the old rust, but all in all, I think we're gonna be okay. And we're gonna let it sit overnight and dry as much as possible. Come in tomorrow morning and run some air through it. And yeah, once the air goes through, we should be able to get it completely dry and start stage 3, and then let that dry and get the thing back in the car.
One eternity later.
Alright, so sorry for getting lame on you guys last night. It was a long day. I didn't want to stay till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning to finish up that tank. So we're back here today. Went ahead and already started working on the tank. My new fuel pump carrier came in. It is in much better condition than the one I had. It is a little rusty on top, but thankfully the inside is still pretty fresh. Everything looks like it's in good shape. This one does look like it was sitting in a tank for a while that had some fuel in the same location. But I'm going to be replacing the pump anyway, so no big deal. But this looks like it's really sound. The float looks good. This is going to get replaced, so I think we're all good there. So super pumped on that. Went ahead and reached my hand as far into the tank as I could, and I also grabbed a rag with some brake parts cleaner on and wiped out any leftover residue from the cleaner last night. I did go ahead and grab our heat gun, and I used it for about 10-15 minutes, drying up any excess cleaner that was in the tank still that hadn't dried yet. So I think we're good to go for step 3, and I'm gonna go ahead and get prepared to do that now. I was a little unprepared last night and actually used vinyl, wrapping vinyl, to seal off all the holes, but I went ahead and got the proper stuff this morning, got all the extra holes closed off. I'm gonna use the old cover that I made to seal this off. Once I put the final step in, you can see this is already separating. You're definitely going to want to shake this up really good. Shake it up, and then I used the big long screwdriver and just stirred it up a lot. There was a ton of sediment at the bottom of the can, like probably like a fourth of the can was sediment on the bottom. So make sure you stir it or shake it really well. They don't say anywhere in the instructions or on the can to shake it well, but it will benefit you to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump this in the tank and see how it goes. As you can see from the 2 minutes I let the can sit, there's still a healthy bit of residue in the bottom of the can, even after stirring it and shaking it vigorously. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that flathead screwdriver and scrape the rest of this into the tank to make sure that I get all of the properties of the chemicals and everything into the tank. So,
what do you got, Mick?
Yep, so step 3, the tank sealant is in the tank, and I'm just rotating it like they call for to make sure that the product covers all of the surfaces inside the tank. I can feel it moving around in there. It's kind of weird. It's really awkward as well. Think I got it all? Sealer's in the tank. That it's a good idea to just let it drip back into the can through the hole in the tank, the drain hole. And you have to clean the surface really well where the drain hole goes, the threads. Sealant, when it hardens, will create a film in there or basically make it really difficult to put the drain plug back in. So I'll be cleaning that right now as this drains out the bottom.
One eternity later.
Alright boys, so we're in the final stages of the seal of this gas tank. Unfortunately, it takes 96 hours to cure, so I cannot, well, I can put the tank back in the car. I can't put any fuel into it for 96 hours. So that is going to give me some time to do some other projects on the car until I can put some gas in it and try to turn this thing over once again. I do need to order a new fuel pump, which I'm looking into a Walbro or a Deutschwerks. Haven't decided yet which one. Maybe leave me a comment down below of what you prefer, Walbro or Deutschwerks. I have used Walbro 255s in the past for a lot of great projects, and they've been good. Deutschwerks is sort of new on the scene. They supported Mad Mike Wadette, who I worked with the last few years on his drift program, so I'm familiar with their products. They also sponsor TJ, so I'm familiar with their products from his drift car as well. And they've graciously asked if they can be a part of my RX-7 project, so that's pretty cool. I want a product on there that I know is going to work and I can trust, so I want to hear from you guys which one that you prefer, and we'll make an educated decision off of what you guys say and what I've learned over the years. So that's the next step: fuel pump, get that fuel carrier back in, get this fuel tank back in the car, and I'm gonna move on to the battery relocation on the RX-7. I've already begun it since I had so much downtime while I was doing this tank between rotations of the tank. I started routing the new battery cable and things, but I'm gonna go ahead and make a separate video, show you guys how to relocate a battery in an RX-7, and potentially even your car, because it's fairly similar from pretty much every vehicle. So that'll probably be the next video for you guys. So I'm gonna wrap this up today, and I'll give you guys an update once it's in the car, and then on the battery.